So we're still here. Everyone's still a lone wolf. And based off the response from the community, this problem isn't going away anytime soon. I mean, seriously, looking at the world right now, I don't think it's just about isolation anymore. Isolation is a symptom, sure, but I think something more aggressive is happening under the surface. Because if you really step back and look at the way we talk to each other, men and women, and the way we talk about each other, it's not just that men are alone. It's that men and women don't seem to actually like each other anymore. You feel it, right? Okay, full disclosure, I'm on the outside looking in as I'm happily married, but from what I'm seeing and hearing from you all is that dating doesn't feel like a discovery, but more like a transaction where both parties are trying not to get scammed. And we know scams nowadays are on a rise. Conversations feel guarded, like you're waiting for the other person to say the wrong thing so that you can categorize them and move on. There's like this heavy static tension where there used to be curiosity. You scroll through social media and it's everywhere. Men are blaming women for the death of the family, women blaming men for the patriarchy and any other problem under the sun. Both sides are absolutely convinced that the other is the final boss in the game, standing between them and their happiness. And eventually, you just stop trying. So your life turns into the work, gym, home, scroll, sleep loop. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, how did we get here? Hi, I'm Jay. Stick around because today we're going to peel back the layers on why the bridge between men and women feels like it's collapsing, and how that collapse is the primary fuel for the lone wolf epidemic. So one of my subscribers asked me to talk about the subject, the enmity between man and woman, and a way out of it. But before we dive in, we have to understand the environment. We aren't just living in the world. We're living in a curated reflection of the world. Psychologist Jonathan Haidt has done extensive work on how social media fragments us. In his research on the Great Rewiring, he points out that the algorithms are designed to reward outrage over understanding. I mean, think about it. If you see a video of a healthy, happy couple talking about compromise, you might just scroll past it. It's boring. But if you see a man on the street interview where a woman says something entitled or a man talks about how hard it is to get a job, that kind of content gets millions of views. Eventually, your brain starts to believe there's no hope. You start to think that if that's what's out there, why would I even risk my heart or my time? But let's look at the actual data because it tells a story of a great misalignment. Ideally, men and women are supposed to be a team. Men are meant to lead and women are to be our helpmates. That's not just a religious take, but it's the mechanical reality of human survival. For thousands of years, we lean on each other, but something shifted. According to Pew Research, we are seeing a record high in the number of unpartnered adults. But even more interesting is the why. Richard Reeves, a scholar at the Brookings Institute and author of Of Boys and Men, writes about what he calls the male drift. He points out that as the world has changed, many men have lost their why. They've lost their clear sense of purpose in the home and in society. And instead of being met with a hand up, they often feel like they're met with a good riddance. And unfortunately, it's by design. On the flip side, women have been told that they don't need a man to survive economically, yet they're constantly seeking some rich mega chad to solve their problems. So now you have two groups of people who are drifting apart. Men feel obsolete, so they withdraw into video games and other unsavory online habits. Women feel frustrated by the lack of millionaires not into them, so they rant on IG or TikTok about it. We aren't working together towards family or community anymore. We're competing for status in a game that no one is winning and quite frankly, shouldn't even be playing. So there's this old idea, and stay with me here because this gets to the root of the lone wolf identity. In the book of Genesis, there's a famous passage often called the fall. After Adam and Eve fractured their relationship with God, the text describes how their relationships with each other begin to change as well. And there's a specific line that says, there will be enmity between man and woman. What does that mean? It means that while a man is to lead the home, women will want to do their own thing and not follow him. Simply put, It was Adam's punishment of sorts for allowing Eve to disobey God. Because what some people don't realize is that Adam stood right next to Eve when she bit the fruit and he didn't even try to stop her. Starting to see the connection? The world is going to hell in a handbasket, and us men are drifting idly by as it happens. What we're seeing today isn't just a modern problem. It's an ancient one that's been amplified by 5G and high-speed internet. So the lone wolf man is a man who has decided that if he can't lead or be respected, he'll just disappear. He'll be his own tribe. That results in a world left defenseless, without order. The hyper-independent female is a woman who's bought into feminism, independence, and yet wants a man to pay their way through life. But when that man enters the picture, she doesn't want his leadership, thus chaos ensues. We are two groups of people, both wired for connection, but both trained for self-preservation. And you cannot build a relationship while your primary goal is protecting yourself from the other person. So if the problem is that we are fundamentally flawed, that we are naturally inclined towards selfishness and looking out for number one, then no amount of dating advice is going to fix the lone wolf epidemic. Because the lone wolf isn't a hero. He's simply a guy who's tired of being hurt. I know because I was that guy. If the tension between men and women has been around longer than the internet, maybe the problem isn't the apps. Maybe the problem is us. I know that's not what you might want to hear. It's much easier to blame the system, and rightfully so. But if we keep blaming the system, we stay powerless. But if the problem is in here, our own nature, then we have to look for a solution that actually changes things. And this is where Jesus enters the conversation, the savior of the world, the reset for the human condition. The world tells you, get yours, protect yourself. Don't let the opposite sex win. To men, Jesus said, die to yourself. To women, he said, submit. He demonstrated a way of relating that feels completely alien to our modern lone wolf instincts. He taught sacrificial love. He taught that the greatest among you is the one who serves. Imagine what happens to the tension between a man and a woman if both people are trying to outserve the other. Imagine if a man's response wasn't apathy, but responsibility. And if a woman's aim wasn't to suck a man dry of his resources, but instead loving and supporting him as he navigates the rigors of this world for her sake. That requires something most of us are terrified of, vulnerability. To stop being a lone wolf, you have to admit that you were never meant to be a wolf in the first place. You were meant to be a part of the body. You were meant to be in a covenant. But you can't get there if you're still playing the blame game. Look, I know negativity gets clicks as well as constantly talking about the problem, but I'm not here for clicks. I'm here to help. I'm here to be the mentor I wish to God I would have had. So as I see it, you have two options as you finish this video. You can stay guarded, you can stay cynical, you can stay independent. You can keep winning the arguments in the comment section, but you'll stay alone. Or you can start questioning the script that the system has given us men. You can look at the other side, or women to be specific, not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a person who is just as broken and tired as you are. Because after all, the system has lied to them as well. Just search this platform and you'll find plenty of videos of women regretting the feminism, boss babe rhetoric as they look on and envy at women in traditional marriages, raising kids, and a godly home. The goal here isn't just to find a partner, it's to become the kind of man who is actually capable of carrying a partner. And for women, their aim needs to be lifting up the men in their lives when the system beats them down. And the way to do that starts with recognizing that we are imperfect beings in need of a perfect savior. And the way to do that starts with recognizing that we are imperfect beings in need of a perfect savior. And when you do, he'll transform your heart and your mind, and you'll begin to see his way is far greater than our own. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I read them all, though it takes me a while to get to all of them. But if you're ready to see how this plays out in the next part of the series, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, remember, there's an explanation for everything. Let's find it together, and I'll see you at the next one.